Hello there, and welcome to this episode of Happy Birthday Wellness Quiz, your health promotion and disease prevention podcast brought to you by Kike Afya. My name is Biri Ubogo. I'm a medical doctor and specialist in public health medicine. Today, I'll be discussing whether the cholesterol-free claim on most cooking oils and fats sold locally is correct. Now, this topic is important because the WHO estimates that excess consumption of saturated fats in our diet is associated with 2.6 million deaths globally every year. Trans fats also are linked to about 500,000 deaths annually every year globally. Of course, we know that trans fats and saturated fats tend to increase your risk of heart attacks, strokes, and sudden deaths. So the question is, why are we so much concerned about cholesterol in our diet? Now, if you look at where cholesterol comes from, we mostly get cholesterol from animal sources of foods, such as meat, things like egg yolk, poultry, fish, dairy products. We don't have cholesterol in vegetable oils and fats. However, that's only part of the story. The amount of cholesterol in our diet, whether it's from animal sources, does not contribute significantly to the amount of cholesterol in our blood. In fact, 85% of the cholesterol in our blood comes from the liver. It doesn't come from what we eat. What we eat contributes only 15% of the blood cholesterol. The second thing to note here is that plant-based diets from which vegetable oils are made, things like sunflower, corn oil, soybeans, cottonseed oil, do not contain cholesterol. However, they contain two other types of fats that we are worried about. That is saturated fats and trans fats. So it is actually the saturated fats and trans fats, the diet, not necessarily the dietary cholesterol, that influence the blood cholesterol. Now, when you consume excess amount of saturated fats and trans fats, they tend to stimulate the liver to produce the bad cholesterol LDL and to reduce the production of the good cholesterol HDL. Now, this is what increases your risk of heart attacks, stroke, and sudden deaths. So generally, this claim that there's no cholesterol in cooking fats and oil is misleading, because if you look at the label here, you can see very high amounts of saturated fats. Here is 45 grams per 100 grams of fat. This is what will increase your risk of heart attacks and stroke. The good fats are usually monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. But even when you have such high amounts of saturated fats, these mono and poly really don't make much difference at all. So that claim is misleading. According to American and Heart Association and WHO, the saturated fats in our total diet should not exceed 7% of the total calorie intake. That comes to about 15 grams per day, or the equivalent of 2 tablespoons of butter. Now, trans fats is the other type of fat, which is even worse than saturated fat. It should be less than 1% of the total calorie intake per day. In fact, in many industrialized countries, trans fats are completely banned from the food chain. So remember that consuming saturated fats will increase your bad cholesterol LDL and lower your good cholesterol HDL, and that's what will increase your risk of heart attacks, strokes, and sudden deaths. Now, if you look at most of the common dietary fats and oils, the ones we really worried about is whatever you see down here, things like cottonseed oil, palm oil, butter, palm kernel, coconut oil. You can see the amount of saturated fat, the one shown in red, is quite high. So if you had to choose the best fats cooking oil for cooking, I would rather you go for any of these above here. But anything below here, you're probably consuming a lot of saturated fats. But remember, even when you're consuming these healthy ones, you should not consume more than 15 grams of saturated fats per day. Thank you very much for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Kike Afya. My name is Subiri Obogo. I'm a medical doctor and specialist in public health medicine. You can support us by subscribing to my YouTube channel, and the link is below there in the post. Until next time, bye bye.